All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about Keith Thurman, Yordenis Ugas, Shawn Porter, and Manny Pacquiao. Specifically, Manny Pacquiao's request to be reinstated as the WBA champion has been declined, and there's a potential mini tournament that can be taking place over that title that some of the top welterweights in the world will be involved in or could be involved in. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So before we get into the meat of this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hit the share button. It really does go a long way towards growing the channel, and they would be much appreciated by me. So Manny Pacquiao is the WBA WBA champion in recess. He used to be the WBA Super champion at 147 pounds. Now he's supposed to be fighting Errol Spence Jr. and he petitioned the WBA to reinstate him as the true WBA champion. The WBA said no. Now, I'm not quite sure what to think about that because it's a real uneven application of their rules for them to have stripped Manny Pacquiao in the first place. But at this point, it is what it is. Yordenis Ugas is the champion, and Manny Pacquiao will be fighting Errol Spence Jr., but it will not be for it won't be a unification fight. It'll just be a fight for Errol Spence's WBC and IBF belt, and Manny Pacquiao isn't going to bring anything to the table other than his considerable name and the cachet that brings, and to increase, the tickets that are sold and the pay-per-views that are sold. It should be one of the biggest, if not the biggest fight of the year, monetarily. Now, with this thing settled about Manny Pacquiao, and by the way, Manny Pacquiao was not happy about being stripped. He appealed to the WBA to reinstate him, and the WBA said no. And again, I can't really say anything bad about it or good about it either way. Manny Pacquiao being stripped was funny because Keith Thurman had been the WBA champion and did not defend his title for over 2 years. And secondly, they say that he's champion in recess. Well, he's fighting. So how can he be in recess if he's fighting? You know what I'm saying? If you say the man is champion in recess and then the man comes out of it, shouldn't the man no longer be champion in recess? Shouldn't he be just a champion? I'm telling you, these sanctioning bodies are so crazy with these belts that they have that even the belts themselves don't make any sense, and they keep getting mixed up. But in this case, okay, I'll actually kind of take it, because with Yordenis Ugas being champion, Keith and many of the very good fighters in the welterweight division looking for a championship to fight for, hey man, I'll actually take it, because Shawn Porter came up with a really, really good idea and called for a mini 4-man tournament at welterweight that I support 100%. And this one, and the reason that I support it is because I will take, at this point, I'm going to take any good, real boxing matches that can be made. This year, I'm telling you, is so devoid of good fights. It's just, boxing is reaping what it sowed. Absolutely reaping what it sowed. It does not invest in American fighters. The media complains about American fighters all the time. It ranks a bunch of fighters in their top 10 pound for pound that don't even fight, that aren't that good a fighter, number one, and number two, aren't appealing to American fight fans. So it's like the internal workings of boxing are designed to shut down boxing. In the way that the promoters work together or don't work together. You have these ridiculous scenarios where Bob Arum and Terrence Crawford won't even participate in any of the fights associated with the PBC. You say that you have. That's why I'm like, okay, in order to get more championships, because clearly that's what the TV networks want, is they always want a championship to be fought for. So every time they need a championship, there's the boxing commission. They're willing to give you another championship, and now you get so many championships that nobody's considered a champion. It's like that movie I took my kids to see. They were called The Incredibles. It was about this super family, right? And one of the arch villains was this kid who looked up to superheroes, but because he was rejected by the superheroes, he said that he was going to be a technology guy. And so he tries to run around, tries to kill all the superheroes with the technology. And then he said, well, because now he's got super technologies. And then he says this, he said, because if I create technologies where everybody can be super, then nobody's super, because it's just average. Everybody's going to be average. There's nothing special about being able to run fast or stretch your arms out 5 miles or whatever they do. There's nothing special about it, because now with technology, everybody can do it. That's the same thing where it applies to these championships. There's so many championships that it's everybody has one. Teofimo Lopez has one. I do believe Ryan Garcia had some kind of belt for the WBC. Devin Haney's got a belt for the WBC. I think Vitaly Klitschko is still a WBC champion in recess. I mean, Manny Pacquiao is a champion. He's a champion in recess. What's going to happen if he loses? Does Errol Spence now become the WBA champion in recess? It just makes no sense. So, but I'll take anything to get a good fight. And in this particular instance, Shawn Porter is talking about a fight with it's a mix-up of fighters that already know each other in Yordenis Ugas, who's the WBA Super champ, Jamal James, who's the WBA regular champ, Shawn Porter, who is a former WBC champ and fought IBF and WBC, but has fought both Keith Thurman and Yordenis Ugas. And then there's Keith Thurman, who has fought Shawn Porter. Those 4 people, and according to Shawn Porter, what he says should happen is Yordenis Ugas can fight Keith Thurman for the WBA Super. Very selfish of him. Very selfless, not selfish, very selfless of him. And Jamal James and Shawn Porter can fight one another over the WBC regular title. And I think that is a great matchup, because Yordenis Ugas then gets to fight a recognized champion who he's not fought before. If he's able to beat Keith Thurman, then great. If he's not able to beat Keith Thurman, then Keith Thurman is back as the WBA champion. I think that's something that Keith Thurman deserves. He definitely deserves another shot at a title. And then Shawn Porter, if Shawn Porter beats Jamal James, then Shawn Porter is back in the mix with a quote-unquote secondary belt, but a belt that people seem to be rising because it's the same type of belt that Gervonta Davis holds at 140 pounds and at 135 pounds. And honestly, I think that when they just carry these belts in there, it's so confusing that they're like, hey, I'm a champion, and that people actually believe that nonsense. So I love that matchup, and I also love the matchup because of the actual fights in the ring. Again, when you have Jamal James and Shawn Porter, you got a boxer versus a boxer puncher, and then you have a boxer puncher versus a boxer in Keith Thurman versus Yordenis Ugas. Just all around really good fights that I hope take place, and it would give us a couple exciting evenings to talk about boxing and not talk about these celebrity matchups or talk about the UFC. Not that the UFC is bad matchups, but it's clear that that ESPN is putting its resources towards that, the public mainstream public media is putting a lot of emphasis on promoting the UFC, but is not in the business of promoting the best American fighters. And the best American fighters just happen to be the black fighters. And it is what it is. But anyway, I'll take the fight. I certainly hope that these fights are made. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And please remember to subscribe, like, and share the videos. It goes a great way to supporting and growing the channel. And with that, I'm out. Peace.